welcome to our podcast, Be Real. I'm Caitlin Beevers, and I'm with...
I'm Keara, Bennett.
And we've got the special guest today with Stu Barrow.
Hello.
England head coach.
Yeah.
So, welcome onto the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. A little bit nervous, but
No, you've got
looking
nothing to
forward
be
to it.
worried about. You're a fluent speaker. We've been a part of that plenty of times. So, Keara will do a brief introduction on you.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, so I did look at your LinkedIn and I found that previously you were the player performance manager of Cast Tigers, Bradford Bulls, Warrington Wolves, coach of England Academy and the Youth, and then progressed on to the Women and Girls National Talent Manager, become head of England Pathways, and recently appointed England Women's head coach.
Woo! Wow.
That seems like we've done a lot there.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
exactly. You have time for yourself.
Well, working in Clubland, never had any time for myself, so actually this is quite a nice change of pace now, working in the female game. Still a lot of hours, but not equivalent to Clubland at the moment, so it's good.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay, so that leads me on to my first question of how and why did you get into rugby league?
Right, so grew up in Wigan. Everybody in Wigan growing up in the 80s played rugby league. My dad played all through his childhood and in adulthood with Wigan St Pat's. So I went down to Wigan St Pat's, played there for a bit, ended up at Goulburn, played rugby, played for the Wigan Town teams all the way through. Got signed for Wigan at 16, but smashed my arm up really bad. Never played. So drifted away from rugby league for a bit then. Went back to university, did a sports science degree. Suddenly wanted to play rugby league again, so set up a rugby league team in Luton, which is unheard of because there's no rugby league down south. And from there then got a job back into the professional game.
What age did you start playing at?
Started playing at under sevens.
Oh, right, so the very lowest age.
Yeah, all the way through.
What has been, would you say, the pinnacle of your coaching career so far?
I've been to a grand final and I've been to Wembley with Warrington on the coaching staff there, but I think for me the pinnacle is when I see people are running around in the NRL and running around in Super League now that I've either signed at 16 or coached at Academy. I'm bumping into those lads and still chatting about the journey and knowing I probably played a very, very, very small part about them achieving what they wanted to achieve, but still, nevertheless, I was part of their journey. That gives me the most reward.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll back you on that though as well.
Yeah.
Like we say all the time, don't we, that the coaching staff is just a massive part of what we aim to do, because especially the one-to-ones parts, they make a massive difference.
Yeah, I think so, and I think a lot of it is as well as just mentoring and just supporting players. They've obviously got the talent because that's why they're signed, or that's why you play the game at the highest level, and it's just making sure that you aid and support them all the way through so they can fulfil all their potential.
Obviously you've coached men and then now women. What's the transition been like for you in terms of that?
Challenging, difficult, really interesting as well at the start. So done 16, 17 years in the men's game, and then the first port of call with it was with the DICE, which is the Diploma in Sporting Excellence, which is our 16 to 18 year olds programme. And I remember turning up for my first ever session to deliver there, and thought I'd start with grip relay games just to get everyone laughing, and nobody could pick the ball up because they were size 5s, and I hadn't even considered that, you know. And then doing the session as well, I thought, this is just totally wrong. I've pitched it wrong, I've got it all wrong, and I was driving home in the car and I was beating myself up. But I got home and I thought, I really like this because it's made me have to think again about coaching. So I went away and studied, been to other sports, looked at how they coach the female side of the game, and hopefully I've took quite a lot of that on, and I'm still learning, still developing all the time, but yeah, really enjoying it.
From then, in that description, you explained the DICE programme. Do you want to talk more in depth about that?
Yeah, so in the male game, there's a pathway. You aim for scholarship, 15s, 16s, and then you aim to try and get signed at 16 and become an academy player, and then try and earn a full-time contract or a reserve team contract. In the women's, you play community up to under 16s, then go straight into senior women. Now, that might be England senior women, or it might be Super League or community. So I felt there was a need to put something in to give people aspirations and work at their own age groups and own levels. So the 16 to 18 programme, the DICE, is a dual career. So they do rugby league and they do some how to be an athlete work alongside that as well, in partnership with Loughborough College. So it's a 2-year course. Once you're on it, you stay there for 2 years. And from that, we've got lots of girls who've graduated, Keara being one of them, who are now playing regular Super League and also playing either for Knights or for England seniors as well. And I predict that probably by the 28 standalone World Cup, I should imagine 50 to 60% of the England team will have probably come through either Dice or Knights at that stage. So that's the aim.
See, like I'm absolutely gutted that weren't around. I think I must have marginally just missed it.
Yeah.
But after hearing like Caitlin Casey and yourself talking about it, they say basically learning about nutrition, how to look after yourself, the media presence and all that kind of thing. Like you said, it's not just building an athlete, it's building a person.
Yeah, and that's really, really important to us as well, that if some people leave that DICE programme and may never even play rugby again, that might be them done with rugby, but if we send them out with a qualification, but also the experiences of working within a group, working within a team and learning about themselves as people as well, that's a big win as well.
Yeah, and also like from when I was on, you can already tell the development in the game, the development of the talent coming out of that. And I think obviously when we was going, it was only like 1 day, weren't it? And now I talked to CC and she's like on it for a week, is it? Like on these camps. So it just shows the progress of that. And I think for me, that was really pivotal in my development, because probably at the time I was fluctuating between playing as a 16-year-old in the Super League, but then actually that let me come back to like being in my own age. So I think that was really valuable for my skill set, definitely.
No, it's great to hear, and yeah, DICE has developed and evolved as we've gone along, and now we do it as residential camps 3-4 times a year, and that again is getting them used to either being in a Knights camp if we play someone, or as you know, the senior squad where we go into camps before international. So if some of those girls do come through and play in the seniors, it won't catch them by surprise because they're already used to being in residential situations.
That's what we found this weekend, didn't we? Being at the Challenge Cup. We were only away for me and Keara, obviously being used to camps now, we were like, it's only a day away, but for some of the girls that aren't used to that environment, they're like, what we're going to do for tea? They're flapping a bit because it's something that it's just completely territory that they haven't been on, and I can see why people are starting to get a bit nervous around the occasion. Yeah,
and they're nervous when they come to DICE for the first time as well, because there's 30 girls arriving and they don't know a lot of each other, and it's like, how do we do this? But they soon relax, and I think now they look forward to coming to DICE residentials. And like I say, if that transfers into the senior squad, then we can go away into camps with the Ashes in 25 and the World Cup in 26, and some of that worry about how people are going to settle has gone because we're used to the athletes being in it.
I was just going to say, so in terms of the DICE programme and everything else that you've built within the development and the foundation of the England programme, do you think that you'll miss being a part of the development and being more in the main team?
Yeah, a little. So what I've done is I've brought in a DICE manager now, and he manages the DICE, but I still oversee it, so I'm at every DICE camp. Take a little bit of a backward step now, and probably not on the field as much with them, but stood around and looking and observing the talented players. And then with the Knights, I'm heavily still involved with the Knights, so I'm still head of the pathways, just with linking it up to the senior squad, so I get that message all the way down from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So rugby league is full of stereotypes and things. Obviously, you being a man and coaching females, what is that like? How do you deal with women? Obviously, you're not used to it. How do you approach that?
No, it's a great question, and again, I'm still learning on it. But I think we just treat each other like rugby players, you know. And I know there is subtle differences, and the way I deliver my feedback might be different in the female game than I do in the male game. But I also like that challenge by the females, because like in the men's games, it used to be, right, we're going to do this, and it'll be, how do you want me to do it? Yeah. In the female game, it's, why do you want me to do that? And that's great, so it gets me thinking. So in England now, we show a little bit of video about why we're doing what we're doing before we go out on the field. Because I found in my first sessions, I'd go out on the field and set a drill up, and people would go, well, why? And we'd only touch the ball 3 times in an hour because we'd be explaining the why. So we do that before we go out. And I think the male side of the game's got a lot to learn from that about the why, because they only know the how. Yeah. So I've really enjoyed that side of it as well. But yeah, it's different emotionally dealing with female athletes, you know, and understanding each individual and managing that. But I think I've clued up pretty much on it, and I think I'm getting there. So yeah.
like you said, from my brother were in the male kind of environments, and from the comparisons that we used to talk about, it was very cutthroat in the men's. It's very straight up, whereas I don't think that you get the same effect out of the women if you approached it the same. There's definitely different ways to approach it, but it still doesn't mean that you can't get your point across. And I think some people would appreciate like dead hard honesty, and then some people would prefer a bit of a sugarcoat but still get the same point across.
And I think that's about knowing your athletes as well, you know, so you can see what one of the players in the senior women's team, and you go, well, actually, you need to be told outright that this is, and knowing they'll respond really well to that, show them some clips and go, that's just not good enough. Then there's others, we have to go a different way about that and explain how could they have done it better, why would you want to do it better, and get an answer. And I think that's the same in the male game as well, though. I think as long as you know your athletes and you can build that relationship with them, there shouldn't be too many issues along the way.
So typically for you, what does an ideal week look like in terms of looking at the players? What are you doing during the week?
So Sunday, always out watching a game, always get out to a game on a Sunday, and then Monday, watch all the other games via video, make notes of England plays, make notes of people on the pathway, and make notes of people who are not on the pathway but I think should be, or want to keep an eye on. And then lots of meetings during the week, and then out to a training session as well in the evening with one of the Super League clubs, some community development stuff, lots of dice work, lots of nights work as well. So really, really busy, to be honest, but not as busy as men's clubland. So so my wife actually sees me a few evenings a week where she never used to. So when I worked in the male game, it used to be I'll see you next October, and then we go for our 2-week holiday before we started pre-season again. But now she likes having me at home, so it's good,
I bet she enjoys making your tea.
Well, I wouldn't say that. No. We just buy pies.
Oh yeah.
Wow, penny dropped. So you've been in charge of one international fixture now.
Yeah.
How did you find the France game?
I found it really enjoyable, the camp. We only went to camp the day before, but it was my first time of running a camp situation, and I think it was really relaxed. I think we had meetings when we needed to have meetings, and I think we got the messages across, and I think the key themes we had from that transpired into the game as well, and I think the players really did what was asked of them in that game, and I thought we were really disciplined in the game as well, and by discipline I mean we stuck to the processes, we kept repeating what worked for us, and we didn't go away from that, and that's really positive for us, and really enjoyed it. It's nice when you win.
Yeah, obviously. So something that we talked a lot about as a squad and as I think a medical group is the support that would be provided for women if they decided to have families after the World Cup, and obviously now with how stacked the next few years are, we were talking about the support the other day and how crucial it's going to be, but how brilliant it's going to be. It's not something that anybody's ever been familiar to, and I think it'll be a great step.
Yeah, and we've got our next England session next Saturday, and our doctor, Gemma, is at that session to have another chat to you about supporting you as you go forward, because obviously the dates change from 25 to 26 for the World Cup, and that will affect some people's decisions with family planning, etc. So, like any employment, we're there to support you all through that and work out what's best for you, best for your partners, etc. And what you want to do, we'll be there to support.
And obviously, it's being released that we've got a good couple of years ahead of us. What's going to be the process of that then, in terms of the next couple of years?
So the squad currently will be getting prepared. There'll be a couple of additions to the squad as we go along through the rest of this year. We'll be preparing for the international at the back end of this year against Wales at Headingley. And then after that, 24 starts afresh. We'll probably have a mid-season international again next year. And then 25 will be preparation for the Ashes. That 25 squad that go to Australia will be the ones we deem to be in contention for the 26 World Cup. So we'll be taking people to prepare for the World Cup, and obviously that'll change. Some personnel will change between 25 and 26, but the aim is that we know who we're looking at to take away, get used to going to Australia, get used to playing against Australia and New Zealand over there in 25, so that when we go in 26 we feel fully prepared to do the best.
Yeah, and it's building those kind of relationships and partnerships and friendships, isn't it? Being around people that you play against each week, it can be hard to get to know them properly, and just being thrown in a camp, it can be overwhelming. But I think with the England sessions that we've had, it's become more frequent, and we're all getting to know each other a bit more, and the camps are getting there's more of a positive vibe around camps, and I think that's really exciting whilst going into a really big couple of years.
Yeah, really exciting, and on the back of that, then 28 we're going to have our own standalone World Cup.
Yeah.
So it's just the explosion of the women's games just getting bigger and bigger, and we're enjoying the journey with it, and yeah, it's something to really look forward to. And the RFL and the international body to commit to get the Ashes back up and running again, really exciting. I grew up on the Ashes, so to go out there and challenge ourselves against the best in the world. They are the best in the world, let's make no bones about it, but we want to go and see how we compete against them and take some learnings from the back end of 25, whatever we learn when we're out there, and put it into place for 26. It gives us something real positive to work on.
Yeah, and obviously to make a good team you need a good team behind it. Did you have choice of who you have with you now? What was the reasoning with the people you went with?
Yeah, no, I'm really fortunate. I'm just the front of house really of a really excellent set of staff, and yeah, the first decision, the most important people, I got taught this when I was a coach, was in the men's game, was the biggest recruitment is your assistant coaches. So the first thing I wanted to do was make sure I got my assistant coaches right. So obviously Dec had been there through the World Cup. I really liked the way Dec coaches and delivers. Also, I know he'll challenge me. He won't just be a yes man. And then, having been around the game for a long time, I really like the way Lois coaches as well. And I'd had lots of conversations with Lois, and I thought, yep, she's my type of person. So it was really important I got them two on board. And next to that, you've got Sean and Neil from the sports science side of it, who, again, excellent forward thinkers in the field. Again, challenge me. Tell me what they want, tell me how they want it, and I don't always give in to them, but we have good debates about it, which is really good. And the medical staff, I think, are top notch.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've noticed more when coming into the England squad to first start with the coaching staff, and the background staff is just getting bigger and bigger. And that's something that we've said at Leeds, isn't it? We're getting more S&Cs, more physios, and the doctors being more hands-on. And I think that's probably with how the game's progressing. We need that kind of care, and we need that kind of support. And it's no different to the men. So I think that's why it's warranted.
I totally agree. It's a performance environment, and we're trying to create an elite performance environment. So I need all that staff to bring that to the party, really. So yeah, and at clubland, like you say, it's happening now across Women's Super League, that staff are exploding and bringing the right people into the environment.
Well, even with you saying that you come to club sessions, Matt, the England physio, started coming round to each club to see people after they played at the weekend. Yeah. That's massive for us to be able to, well, for girls that aren't part of the EPU currently, to get noticed. It's easier to get noticed in a training environment and see what they're like, and you see more behind the scenes what they're like as a person. And with Matt, it's easier because I don't know about anybody else's physios, but our physio's kind of got his hands full at the moment. So it's nice to have him take a bit of work off, and you can work more personally.
Yeah, and that's it. And England aren't trying to come and take over at club sessions. We're just there to support and be around it. And like you say, if I think someone's playing really well in the games, I've been and watched live and on video, before I bring them into the pathway, whether that be Knights or the seniors, I go and watch them train and see how they are in their environment. And so there's a new player coming into our England senior session next Saturday. I've been and watched the train last week after seeing some of her performances, and I liked what she did at training, and that confirmed. So I feel like I've got eyes out there all the time, and I know the person as best as I can know them before I bring them into the environment.
So I think obviously what we need to talk about is the historic event what occurred at the weekend, Wembley, biggest stadium anyone's, especially any females, ever played on. Such a monumental ground, great experience for a lot of people. How do you think that was good?
I was in the Royal Box, so it was brilliant. I was in a suit and tie with a free glass of fizz. So,
of course it was.
No, I just think it was absolutely outstanding. If you think of the hard work Tom Brindle, who works at the RFL, has put in behind the scenes, and You know, he put a picture on his social media of where it was in 2017 to where it is now. And even when I first got involved in 220 or 219, I didn't think we'd be at this stage this quickly. I think we put on a good show. I think the game was a credit to all of us. And what it did create, and like I say, I was in the Wembley suite, there was a lot of sponsors, a lot of neutral people who'd never seen a female game before, who all watched it, and it created noise. Yeah. And I think that's our job at the moment, is to create noise with the amount of eyes on the Lionesses at the moment, and the Red Roses in Rugby Union, and the netball who've just done really well. Our job is to say we're here as well, and I think you can't do that in any other bigger stage than the National Stadium, Wembley. So it created a lot of noise, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think the behind the scenes, you mentioned Tom Brindle there, and the RFL as a whole, I think recently have been massively pushing us and giving us Wembley more coverage, and that the media presence is so much bigger. And I think that the game's developing, and I'm glad that people are noticing, and they're getting more engaged, and they're wanting to get more involved. The week leading up to the final, everything I was saying in interviews, well, I didn't think it'd be my pipeline, and I'm a really young player, so I'm so glad that I managed to do that. But not just that, like Jodie said that she didn't think it'd be in hers, and I don't think we did it just for us. Like, there's so many people. Andrea Dobson were on commentary, and it's for people that didn't manage to do that as well, that we're kind of shouting up for, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the pioneers that have come before us, like that was basically for them, because they've led us to this point. And I think you've got to have gratitude, and you've got to just appreciate everything that's come before us. And I think that was such a great event to do that and dedicate that to them. And it also just creates such a great atmosphere, such a great opportunity to inspire be role models for young girls, young boys. You know, the amount of people who want your signature nowadays or a photo with you, like, it's actually incredible. And I just think, we just got to keep it going, get some momentum. But like, how do we do that? How do we equal the pack across the whole Super League? Is like obviously the next conversations. You know what I mean? Like, what would you say in terms of that?
I think that's the biggest challenge we face at the moment. Yeah. We have 3, maybe stroke 4 really, really strong teams, and a lot of good work going on at the other clubs who are not in that 4 at the moment. Yeah. But I think because of the profile you've give the game now, there's lots more young girls playing the game. Mm-hmm. So eventually when they come through, they'll have to go to all the other different clubs as well. It won't be, if you're a really good player on the fringe of Leeds City Centre, that you want to go to Leeds because they're a top team. Yeah. You'll look and you'll go, well, their under-19s is full of players, the first team's full of players, I'll be better off going here because I'll get to play more. Yeah. And I think that took some time in the male side of the game when scholarships came in. People actually waited until they were saturated and then went to other clubs, and that evened it out. And I think we'll get to that stage in the next few years. I think we're already seeing that Wigan have gone from not competing last year to full of youngsters this year who are now pushing them to the next level, and they've got another bunch of youngsters under them as well ready to come. So it's just about getting almost the volume of players into each club so that they push through. And what we did at the weekend at Wembley only increases that, because now as you're sat there watching it as somebody who plays under 14s, under 15s, you go, well, actually I'm only 3-4 years away from playing at Wembley if I carry on. Yeah. And that's exciting.
So as you talked about there, Wigan are such a strong developed side in terms of so many young girls have come through, and they've really made a massive difference this season. I think the academy systems that people are bringing in, like we were talking just before this started, I went to go watch Huddersfield and Feb 19s, you went to go watch York and Wigan 19s, and it's getting so much bigger, and that's the stepping stone that we need. There were only, when I started, I think there were only about 2-3 academies, and now most clubs have them.
And I think it's where the game needs to go, and the community clubs do a great job, but when we get to under 16s, you girls were playing open age, whether it be for Leeds or a community club, you were straight into open age. And I think it's important we, like the pathway in the performance pathway, we also have a game pathway as well, where there is something that a 16-year-old, 17-year-old female can play in something of her own age group, whether that be under 18s, under 19s, and that's a feeder then to your senior squad as well. So we experimented with it last year, we've got better with it this year. Next year it's going to be compulsory for the 8 in the league that they have an academy, so we're getting there. It's Obviously, by bringing that extra team into your club, though, it's financially, it costs money as well. So you've got to get buses to away games, extra kit, training facilities, etc. So we know we're putting an extra pressure on the clubs, but if we're serious about taking the game to the next level, I think an academy system is vital.
Could you see a reserve system coming into the picture?
Long term,
Yeah.
But at the moment, I think it's more important we just get that academy up and running, and then your seniors on top of that. So if we keep, realistically, if we keep the academy at under 19s, I think by the time you're 19, your senior team will know whether they want you in their system or whether you go to another club.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge of the game as well, is if someone comes to Leeds and plays in the academy till 19 and then they're not quite what Leeds are looking for in their seniors, that we don't let that person drift away from the game.
Yeah.
We either keep them in the Super League or they go back to the community.
Well, that's what they find with the lads' programmes a lot. After talking about, I've heard that lads don't want to go back to the club because they feel embarrassed the fact that they haven't made it. But if we make it a system that they can go to another Super League club or a championship, doesn't mean that they have to stop playing. And I think that's really what we need, because we're not as privileged as the men game in terms of the participation rates. We will eventually, but we can't be affording to lose those players.
Yeah, talent pool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly that.
So, fun round.
Yeah.
Fun round.
I
thought this had all been fun.
Yeah, obviously we're used to it.
I can relax a bit now.
Now all the business talk is over.
Yeah.
So we've decided to incorporate a little something at the end of each podcast.
Right.
And we've just got a bit of a question for you. I'll let Keara lead.
Okay, so if you could have dinner with anyone, 3 people, past or present, who would it be and why?
Oh, tough question. Tough question. 3 people, past or present. Roger Bannister,
Okay.
because he did the 4-minute mile,
Yeah.
and that was unheard of, and he broke boundaries that nobody thought was possible. So I'd like to talk to him about his mentality and how he thought, well, that is possible when everyone else said it wasn't.
Yeah.
So that one. Neil Armstrong,
Okay.
to see
If he actually went on.
if he actually went on, or was he in the studio? I feel I need to know that in my life.
I think I need to know that.
Was that flag real? Because it didn't, I need to know. So, Neil Armstrong.
I feel like that's something you'll lose sleep over as well.
Yeah, I think it does. So, whenever I see these new space programs, I'm thinking, is it live still?
Wife's going to bed. Stuart, why aren't you asleep yet? Did he actually go to the moon?
Did he stand on the moon? I look at the moon sometimes from the bedroom window because we don't have curtains. I'm thinking, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm thinking, I'm not sure. So that's the 3. So then the 3rd one. Did it have to be? Could it be alive still?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to come out with someone straight away. I've got one.
Kenny Dalglish, because he was my hero when I was a youngster growing up. So I supported Wigan Rugby and I supported Liverpool Football Club, and Kenny Dalglish was an inspiration. And I liked the way he transitioned from player to coach at the same club, and I thought that was really difficult. So yeah, Kenny Dalglish. I should have probably gone deeper than this.
No, it's all about straight off the net. That's why we didn't ask you before. Right?
Yeah.
But I have got one question just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What position were you?
You won't believe it now because the pies have got me.
I think fullback.
Exactly that.
Wow.
I know
I was a full-back, yeah. And then when I stopped because of my arm, and then 6-7 years later I came back to play, I was a little bit bigger then because I'd been to university and had lots to drink and eat. So I then started to play back row. So yeah, seen it from the backs and the forwards.
Which one did you prefer?
The backs, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
All the glory. All the glory.
Yeah, we just finished stuff. You make us look good.
All the glory.
we do all the hard work.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for being part of our podcast.
No, thank you for having me. It was pretty painless, really, because knowing you two, I was a little bit worried about this.
Really?
Yeah.
No, we're all very professional.
Yeah.
And can we just say, just off the record, Stu has been flapping about this for weeks. And I told you didn't have anything to worry about.
No, that's good. Thank you very much.
No, it's okay. What a legend. And
See you at training next Saturday?
yeah, ready for a grim session.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching or listening. This is our third
Yeah.
session of Be Real, and we hope to catch you next time.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.